Okay. You know, I'm I'm going to try to explain this sugya, and it's interesting sugya, and there's many details to it, and I know ahead of time people listen to the tapes. I've been told. I met the Lubavitcher guy, from Chanites, and he quoted me from the. So people listen. So I want to just mark them that it's impossible to go to all the details. And we need to learn the sugi well, to all the detail. We need 4 hours to explain. But I'm just explain the basics. So before I start, I'm going to say very interesting, very, very interesting Rambam in Hilchos Parah Aduma. The Rambam says, it's based, the Rambam learns Pshat in a Mishnah. There's a Mishnah that says, that someone who was El Levaya or touched the mess, you have to sprinkle the 3rd and the 7th day water with ashes of the Parah Aduma. It's very complicated, halachas, how it has to be done. Very complicated. So there's a Besamigdish, there used to be chaloinos, windows. People will line up and they get sprinkled the 3rd and the 7th day. And they went to the mikveh and they go to Besamigdish. Now what happens, that guy messed up. He didn't do the water right, with the ashes right. Very easy to mess up. Anyone who learned Hilchos Parah Aduma, very, very easy. If a guy goes into Besamigdish, Tumah, he's chayiv koros, and he has to bring a korban. So if I'm relying on the guy sprinkle on me the water, I'm relying on he's doing it. If he didn't do it correctly, the water has to come straight from the well. You're not allowed to be mesich das. Very complicated halacha. If he messed up, I don't have to bring a korban. But if I did it myself, and I didn't do everything perfect, I do have to bring a korban. So you see from here, when you rely on a tzibur and they mess up, it's less headache, it's less. You don't bring a korban. If people relied on a shgocha and it came out it wasn't, you don't bring a korban. But if you do it yourself, there are people who don't trust anyone, they got to do everything themselves. If you then mess up, then you're in trouble. That's number one. Number two,
There's a story that whenever these stories happen, the tzibur does this big, they fast and they get
it's a separate issue, right? That's a separate issue because such a michshel happened. But the korban, you see from the korban, it's an untraditional thing. But I will explain what happened over here. But I just want to say another quick chassidish word to be, as we call it, mamtik the dinam. There's a very famous gemara in Masechtas Chagiga. Arbur nechnes lepardes, Reb Kiva, with Ben Azza, Ben Zoyme, and Ache, they went to the Pardes. Ache came out, and he became not religious. Ache came out, and he rebelled. He was Mechal Shabbos. He went to a house of prostitute. He became a Mechal Shabbos. The Gemara says that Reb Illa, I think, met Eliyahu Novi. And he says, what is the Rebbeinu Shalom doing? He says the Rebbeinu Shalom is saying Gemaras over Mamorim, over from all the Tanoim. He refuses to quote the Meir. What's wrong? Why doesn't he quote the Meir? He said Meir learned from Acher. He says, you know what the Meir did? He ate the fruit and he threw away the shell. Oichel, uchel, a klippe zurak. So then Eliyahu says, now that you said it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is quoting the Meir. Amazing Gemara. So the Chassidim say, see if wherever we say in this world that it's okay, then Shemaim to listen to us. All of it in a bunch of them didn't know what Meir's intention was. We had to hear it in this world. So we learned the halacha, Rav Cheshmaita, so that we understand that it is the kashas of the thing. So if you did eat, you'll realize it's not, it's a terrible thing what happened. I must tell you, they got up and they apologized. The head of the RCC, and I said to my Shul Shabbos, if you apologize, you have to accept the apology. They made a mistake. We are humans. It's a mistake. Yeah, we have a right to be screaming about the mistake, but they apologized. I want people to forgive me on my mistakes. I'll forgive them their mistakes. I don't know you guys, but I'm not so perfect. Forgive me and I'll forgive you. They get up and they ask forgiveness. So what happened over here? I'm sure you heard the stories, but I had the privilege to see the video, the original one, the long version. Bottom line is, they caught this guy. It was a private investigator, Israeli Chaverman, but he did a good job, and he caught him bringing meat, which unauthorized meat, into the shop. Now we're soon going to see what this type of meat is. So the first question everyone wants to know, how long did he do it? 10 years, 20 years, oh wow. So let me tell you a very interesting Zach, which I didn't copy over here. The first simon in Yoredeya, the first machaba in Yoredeya, he didn't copy it, I forgot to tell Rabbi Zions, the first machaba in Yoredeya, in Hilchos Shchita, there's a very interesting halacha. But we Ashkenazim, the meaning was that the shoichet had a kesav kabbalah. The shoichet, to become a shoichet, had to have for hair, oral, and know it, and has to be show that he knows how to put it in. What happened in the times of the Ramah, a lot of Yiddish people lived literally in hick towns, and there was a sheikhet there, and the rabbi comes to a sheikhet who really got a good ksav. It's 5-10 years later, and the rabbi starts speaking to the sheikhet, and you see the sheikhet doesn't know, he forgot Hilchos Shchita. If a guy doesn't know Hilchos Shchita, the Gemara says it's nevela. Can't eat from it. That's a Gemara. If a guy says, I know how to shecht, and he shechts, he could be a big Talmud Chochem. If he didn't learn, he didn't practice, beginning of everyone who learned Cholon knows Hilchos Shchita, it's no good. We have a guy now who had a ksav. He passed the Shchita test, and he's a sheichet. Years later, they check him out, he doesn't know. Now, you know what it says in Shulchan Aruch? A shocking thing. Whatever he shechts today is no good, but he shecht yesterday is good. Right, Rabbi say. Now, if you're very skeptic, who are you kidding? You think today he woke up with amnesia? Who are you kidding? I mean, if he didn't know today, well, yesterday he did know, well, what happened over here? Well, we have a klal. See, not everything works with our feelings, with our emotions, with our... There's a halacha, there's a chazaka that he knew. Now, we catch him, he doesn't know. The Ramah says, today's shchita is no good. Yesterday's meat, you're allowed to eat it. You don't have to kosher the kelim. It's a chiddush noida. I want to tell you
Today means from now on.
From now on.
What happened an hour ago?
No, from now on. If I heard them now, that's it. But till now, the chazuk is good. I want to tell you the Taz on the place argues on the Ramah. And the Vilna Gaon argues on the Ramah. So I quickly looked up the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch was masking to the Ramah. That this is, I want to tell you something, is a long sugya. This chazukah business, I could talk 2 hours about this sugya, so I'm not going to go into it. But you see from this sugya very clearly that it's not as you think. We caught him now, he's a shana, oh, if he's a shegitz. There's nothing to talk about. But the question is, the chazukah, that the system that worked, do we say failed till now, or we say today? It's not so simple.
When the video was taken the first time, let's go in this case.
Yeah, whatever, right.
Okay.
But people... What?
People were complaining since 2010, off and on.
Yeah, but...
They had a raise on the
complaining doesn't mean anything. I don't want to go into that thing because I don't want to get into politics. But when you should know the story of the Ramah was, why do you think the rabbi forbade this guy Hilchos Shchita? People were complaining. That's the story. They came to town and they told the rabbi, this guy doesn't know Hilchos Shchita. So the rabbi gave him a fair, and he doesn't know. So now, from today it's no good, and yesterday. So there's based on a sugya, mikvah shenim choser. I don't know. It's a long sugya in Masechtas Chulon, in Masechtas Nida. But I just want to show. So you see that in many cases, even though we find them now, we don't say that. And even the Taz who argues on the Ramah, if a guy became a Rasha, became a Rasha. We don't see he was always a Rasha. We say now he's caught, he's no good. Okay, that's one part I just wanted to say, because many people said to me that I ate, who knows, in the restaurant before, and you find them now. Now, let me start the Hilchas Kifyud. Many of you, I'm sure, learned this halacha, but let me explain the Sugya Siv Gimel. Teisha Chanoyas. This is, yes, you have a copy of Siv Gimel?
Yeah.
Teisha Chanoyas. So I want to focus, because so many people are wondering, what in the world is 3 o'clock the lucky number? If you bought at 3 o'clock, it's no good, and 2:59 it is good.
Sorry, Rabbi, you didn't clarify, what does unauthorized mean?
Unauthorized means what happened was that the private investigator caught him to bring meat into the store. Now, he followed him to his brother-in-law's business, and inside the business they saw that he had how does it go, Hebrew national meat. It's not called Hebrew national, have a different name, but the people who are the Bekiyim told me that this is Hebrew national. I forgot, it's a long land or long whatever, it's a different name, but it's Hebrew national. And I asked Rabbi Belsky and himself, who gave the heter, and who's the head of the OU, and he's the basic for them, and who the OU fought in court against the OU. They shouldn't say it's kosher, and I think they lost because the judge says I don't know the religion. Hebrew national, right? So the OU fought Hebrew national, and I asked them, tell me, is Hebrew national Vadai Treif, Safek Treif? In Yiddish we say it's Esmenish, which means it's but what is it? And he thought about it for a while, and the worst, he said, it's just a Safek Treif. Maybe even less, maybe the Rabbanim. I'll explain it later. But, it's not Vadei Treif. And you should know, that's all they caught him for. The system, the 95 to 90% of his meat was kosher because they checked it out. See, the story in Muncie was, let me just for the record to quickly say, the Muncie story was, they caught this butcher and he said, where do you get the meat? This supply said 6 months I haven't sent them. The other supply said 2 years I haven't sent them. Where did you get your meat? So it turned out to be everything was straight. There was no rive. It was kiloi treif. That was the story of Muncie. Here, his guy did a shtick, and the shtick was that should I say it in public over here? The shtick was that what happened was like this. They were convinced that he opens the store middle of the night, and they had a private detective. That didn't happen. They didn't open middle of the night. The guy thought you guys are dreaming. They were convinced middle of the night. He couldn't open the door because it had a special lock. A very sophisticated lock. The only one who could open it, and if you pampered the lock, you could tell right away. It's one of those things that he couldn't play with the lock. What did he do, this Chevraman? He did like this. He got himself a tinted SUV. The Yoid Duva, I'm not so familiar with. This is a real tinted, this is a real tinted. So and he would park it in the alley over there, and he picked up from his brother-in-law and receipted someplace 6 to 8 boxes, and the mishgiach came in the morning, opened the door, and then they waited a half hour. The truck would unload 200 boxes. Each box 50 pounds. He sold a lot of. He was a wholesaler. And what happened as soon as the mishgiach did everything exactly was told. He checked the numbers and he wrote everything down, which numbers came in to him, and then he would go daven shachris. As soon as he left, he tells his guy. We see on the video the guy took from how is it called, the super lens? I forgot that was called. The zoom lens, very far place he called. Huh? And you see, he tells the guy to quickly go to his car, opens the car, takes out six boxes. That's all he had, and takes it in. By the time the mishgiach came in, he brought in other boxes.
It doesn't make sense to do all that just for 6 boxes. As a shaita, he's going in to save $10.
But that's all what they saw, and that's the most that he could have done. That's what I'm saying. That's the only time that he was able to do it.
He did it once, he did it 100 times.
Yeah, he did it. Well, that's the question, Halacha. How far back? According to the Gemara, we say, you found him now. Now he became, now the system broke down. We don't say that.
So he didn't have his key
Only the Mishgiach. Okay.
Did he give an explanation why he would win his life over 6 boxes?
Why he would? I want to tell you a cute story.
Boxes every day.
I want to tell you a cute story. It's a guy told me it's about 5 to 7% of the business. So let me tell you, I had a very wealthy balabas in my shul, and he was reading Gan Eden. He was a very halacha, and he would always tell me, Rabbi, you could get cheap salmon now in St. John's. We had and get this there, and he would run taka there. I didn't know that he was wealthy. I had no idea. He was a nice balabas. Lived in a big house. Never understood it. Nebuch, he died. He was a very nice man. Has a few children. His wife goes every year with the whole Chadgad, the whole Einiglach, to go to a hotel. It costs $120,000. Pesach program. When he was alive, he was saying 20 cents on of salmon. There are people that way. What should I tell you? There are people. There are people.
There's a distinction between what we can presume logically and what the law.
That's exactly. What we have to understand over here, we can use our feelings, and our feelings gets out of control. We have to harness, put the feelings away, and see what the Torah says. So let me start the sugya. Sugya says, the Mechaber says, tes chanoyis. So this is the focus, the number, how the number came in, 3 o'clock. So the Mechaber says, tes chanoyis, machles bus shchita. 9, butcher shop, selling bus shchita. I don't have an extra, no? You don't hear? Tes chanoyis, machles bus shchita, va'ache machles bus nevela. And one, so he says, lukach ma'aches mehen, and he bought it for one of them. He says, he has no idea he bought it. This is, Rabbi said, this is a famous sugya, a few places in Shas, and Psochem and Chulin. That means like this. The Gemara says, let's imagine it, this is a butcher stand. 9 are selling kosher, 1 is selling treif. And a guy goes in and he doesn't know for which one he bought. Now, in a simple marshal the Paiskim give, he's a guest in town. He didn't know that this one is a treif. Everyone knows that one, the last one on the street, and to the left is treif. He had no idea. He comes in, then someone tells him which one did he buy. I don't remember, I just went there, I bought. The din is, it's called the kavua. It's exedis akosiv. Even though the 9 are kosher, 1 is treif, the din is, the Gemara brings a pasuk, we consider it mechza. It's like suffolk treif. You're not allowed to eat it.
Was where he bought it from.
He bought it, but that means I bought it from a place which was established. Kavua means established, non-kosher place. Then we have 9 butcher shops, 1 non-kosher, 9 kosher. We all know that's the non-kosher. One of them goes in, either absent-mindedly or a guest he bought. For one of them is no good. If I find the piece, says the Mechaber, I find meat on the street, or biyad goy. The guy went in and he bought. Then it's mutter. Kivishrov chamachre bus shchita. The chol purish meriba purish. You know what that means? Kol deruba means that the Torah says that your chances where this piece of meat came from the majority. Called the porish, meriba porish. Now this is what Torah says. I'm allowed to eat it. I want to make it clear. If you have 9 butcher shops, 1 non-kosher, you find it on the floor, or a guy went in and he bought it. Once he bought it and he took it out, and not the yid, because the yid becomes kavua, but goy, it's not the gay for him, the pasha. He has it, he gives it to me, I'm allowed to eat it. If I don't want to eat it, remember one spoke about our pikoidus. The Torah says eat it. I want to explain this because people get nervous, but maybe I shouldn't have eaten it. Here the Torah says, kol the porish meriba porish, and if a guy says, I want to be a machmer, the Yam Shlomo says is apikoidus. Don't be frummer than the Torah. There's a famous joke the Chassidim say that when Mashiach will come, there's going to be 2 meals. There's going to be the shor habar, the famous big shor, they're going to shech, and there's going to be a lot of yusan. So they ask, why do we need meat and fish? So, who's going to shech to sharabot the Rabbi Shloilem? But the other people don't fish. And you don't trust the shechita. I need fish. I need fish. The shoichet. I need fish. The Torah says, called the Purish, Mereba Purish, is clear. That's the halacha. There's nothing to talk about. That's the halacha. The only, with the Rabbanim, it's also for a different reason. It's called Busish and Salam and Ayin. That's a whole different thing. So now, there's a shach over here. I don't want to say it inside. It's going to be confusing. So let me tell you what the shach discusses a story that happened. All 10 butcher shops were selling kosher. One of the butcher shops was selling kosher, and as they during the day, one guy bought the head of the cow, and it turned out that he sold a huge cow, and one guy bought the head of the cow, brings it home, and he sees that the head of the cow has a hole in the head. One of it's treif. So till 9:30, no one knew that it was treif. All of a sudden, we realized that shop, that stand, the guy was standing with that stand selling meat, from the morning already was selling treif. How do we look at this? We found out in the afternoon, and understand the question, it's not until now we spoke about a guy when we all know that there's 9 kosher, 1 treif, and absent-mindedly you bought. Everyone knew that it's treif. You were absent-minded. Now we're talking about a whole day, everyone assumed everything was kosher. It was lemafreya. Lemafreya means retroactively we find out that butcher shop from the morning was treif because his cow turned out to be treif. And everyone bought. No one remembers where they bought. Do we say kol kavur kamerze, kol the riba porish? So this is a machlokes harishonim, a huge machlokes harishonim between the Rashba and the Rabbi Gabayis, the Rabbi Na'an Levi, and the Ram. These are names of the huge rishonim that Yeridea relies on. So
the difference between the shach and the dohim.
I'm saying I didn't finish, nothing to say. Calm down. Everyone has to calm down, including the rabbi. We'll get to it. We'll get to it in a minute. So now, the Rabbi says, so what happened? What is the halacha over here? So, some chalukes that is shaynim, and the shach paskins. That's the Chaim explained. The shach says we say call the purish meriba purish. Since we've only found out now, we say call the purish meriba purish. That means 9 o'clock, as 9:30, we found out that it was streif. So anyone who bought from any of the butchers, don't remember which one they bought, we say call the purish meriba purish, because the kavua is a chiddush. That's the lomdus is a chiddush. You don't know which store, it's okay.
But if you didn't know which store you bought it from, then it's okay.
No. This case we paskin that no matter this case we're talking about the shach paskins. You call the cooler, and we say anyone who bought all day long till 9:30, he doesn't remember where he bought it, he could eat it.
Except for that shop.
That shop now is streif. Unless you know you bought from that shop. Yeah, we're talking about a guy bought from that shop, we know it's streif, it was streif. That shop had 1 cow, it was streif.
But if you bought that shop before 9:30, it's not trade?
It's not from that shop. That shop is streif the meat.
No matter when you bought it?
Yeah, because that stand was selling not knowingly treif meat. But let's say all of us bought during the day, we don't remember which shop it was.
No, if you remember what shop it was.
And you know it was that one, then it's treif. That's treif.
Even if it was not before 9:30.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you ate it before they found out, you would have to bring a carbon. So you didn't.
You have to bring a carbon. Let's I have to think about that. You don't need carbon anyways.
Is it a Vera? You can do tshuva?
Well, you don't have to do tshuva, no.
What if that shop was selling other meat besides the one with the hole in the head?
I'll get to it in a minute. That's the next case.
That's exactly.
No, that's the next case over here.
But this is all predicated on law and you have given who did.
Just everyone calm down. Just calm down. I didn't finish. My story's not finished, Rabbi Isai. Just calm down. So now, this case is called a kavua deraisa. I'll soon explain to you why this is important. The shach paskins the kula, and there are who say you have other achronim argue with the shach, and the machmer, And a guy wants to be machmer with this, Machaba is allowed to be machmer. This case. Then there's another case, Rabbi Isai. This is Sif Hey. I want to say about Peh. If you want, you can see it inside. The Sif Hey and Machaba is another case. Now let me explain this case. This case is different. Let me explain to you why this case is different. See, this is called the Kvua Daraisa. What does a Kvua Daraisa mean? 9 kosher, 1 treif, and we know exactly where the treif is. And the story was, retroactive, This case is, there's a din, a chaticha harui liskabeit, does not become bottled. You know what that means, Rabbi says? A choshev, a piece of meat, a steak, which you would give for guests, does not become bottled. That has like a din kavua. It's not the real kavua. That means if I would know that a nice piece of steak got mixed in with everything, let's say you were in this butcher shop, this Rosh's butcher shop, a nice piece got mixed up with the other ones. So, our dinner doesn't become bottled because a chaticha arui liskabe does not become. If it's, I don't know if I said it over in this class over here, but I mentioned the story 1 to 2 years ago. I think one of the Chabad camps called me up. They had a big, eating hot dogs that was eating with all the campers and about 600 hot dogs or whatever. And someone realized as in the garbage, they unwrap, one of the wrappers was not kosher once. By mistake, when the guy went to the store, and now,
What store?
no, in the store they bought it somehow, they bought it in the supermarket. And a real kosher one that was really kosher. And one somehow, one of the packs turned out to be not kosher. From 600, was it about 6 only? So, is it called chaticha liskabed, a hot dog? Is it not called? So, do we have to throw everything away? So, if you hold the hot dog is called chaticha liskabed, you got to throw everything. If you don't, you don't. This is a question Yeridea. So, let's just focus over here. So, says the Machab over here. Mishaluk erbusim and mikulim. He bought from the mikulim is the stands that sells. Afel chaticha liskabed. The nimmt es treife be mikulim. V'lo inoida chaticha sa treife. We don't know which one is treif, which is the treif is the treif. V'hein idei meizer lukach. He says, we don't know. Is kol ma shalachim mikulim kol shnim sa treife mitte. Shalnufig asufa bikvi el acha sheperish. Now, the Machab is talking about over here, where this Machab is talking, the Elchonon explain, where this piece of meat that I bought, we have over here, got mixed up in all the other pieces of meat. It's called a kvua midrabanan. That means, before I spoke at the Shach talking about kvua deraisa, here we have a chaticha liskabed. That's where it begins, a chaticha liskabed. So over here, the same story was. Let's say the same story. I know I bought a piece of meat from a store. This store I bought a piece of meat. I came home and I mixed it with my all other pieces of meat. Turns out later, this store, that cow which they shechted, turned out to be treif. I don't know where this piece of meat is now. Yeah, he doesn't know.
It got mixed in the store.
Yeah, it got mixed in the stores. You're right. Right, and Mechaber talks about this case, and the Elchonon talk, right, Mechaber and the Elchonon talk about the same idea, what I just said, with a taruvas din, which means not a store din, but chaticha liskabed, which is, I want compared to our story. Our story is, we have a piece of meat that was not kosher, chaticha liskabed, got mixed in with other pieces of meat in the store. We don't know which one it is. So that should not become bottled because we have a klal. Chaticha liskabed doesn't become bottled. This is called in the Elchonon, if you look in the Elchonon over here, it's called the kavua midrabanan. Because chaticha liskabed does not become bottled, that's only midrabanan. That's not a deraisa digazach. So let's say this, so I want to say a guy has a piece of meat, mixed it in all the other pieces of meat, it doesn't become bottled. Now the same question would be, what happens?
What kind of cut of meat, or does it matter? How do you define royal liskabed?
Well, that's a separate issue. A nice piece of steak is a chalul liskabed.
I'm saying it has to be nice. I'm just saying, if it's cheaper cut of meat,
then it becomes bottled. Right.
Just the case that in there was
Chaticha liskabed. Yeah, right. Yeah, chaticha liskabed. Now, The question is, Rabbi Say. Now, Rabbi Say, the reason I want you to know this halacha, because many people ask that, how does called the purish meriba purish wet chaticharu leskabed? But the Charedim say that it works the same idea. I have all these pieces of meat, and now we find out that this piece of meat was not kosher, but we found out now. So that guy bought it, now we don't know where it is. Will be the same question. Do we say called the purish meriba purish, or we don't say called the purish meriba purish? Same. Now, someone went and bought from that store the meat. Let's say no one knew about it. That means a piece of meat that was bought from this butcher. Let's say he was a kosher, holy butcher, and they didn't realize it was not kosher. He put it into this wholesaler, and then we find out after a day or two that cow was not kosher. So we say again, till we found out, we say called the purish, meriba purish. Because that's what we paskin, and we go after the finding out. That means we found out, let's say 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock. We'll talk about what means find out. We found at 3 o'clock, the time we found out it was not kosher. Now everything doesn't become bottled. So all the meat in the shop is non-kosher. But since you found out 3 o'clock, anything we be before, we say called the purish, meriba purish.
They found out 3 o'clock. They
Anyway,
announced the next day 3 o'clock.
Shouldn't we make a difference?
Let's just talk about a simple case, and I'll explain that case. What? Hey, what?
Shouldn't we make a difference here? Done
Yeah, a very good question. Very good question. I'm gonna let me just I'll get to the shala first. Let me say this case. All the questions I'll answer, but first let me explain the Shulchan Aruch. Yeah. So now you understand there's such an idea. We find out the time now, and after the time, everything is aser. But anything you took before that, you have a right to say called the purish meriba purish. So the first question, what he's asking, this is talking about there was no riches. So when I first heard the psak, I tell you what, I heard the tumult 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm sitting in the setting chometz, and one of the people in this community comes sometimes to the shir, is not here today, and he was in panic. I have to talk to you around. I bought all my meat there for Yontif. What do you do? He says, what? I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't hear? I said, nothing. And I said, oh yeah, this is Erev Pesach, my headache now. So I quickly called the RCC, and 3 o'clock, and he started telling me, because the Purish, he said, there was amazing over here. I didn't have time to think. So he told me to ask Rabbi Belsky. I know him as a Guan Olam. And so I didn't have time to think. I said, if Rabbi Belsky said, you bought it before that. And then the guy says, should I be machmer? You want to be machmer? I'm sure there's coolest, and I right away knew there must be coolest that is soymechan. You rather be machmer. He went, he got himself new meat, and asher chelkei. But let me just explain that. So his first question is, this guy is amazing. That was the first question that I had. I mean, this is nothing to do with the Shulchan Aruch. Hey, you have a guy, a b'mezid, who did it. First thing I want to explain to you, that's not so terrible, the Mezid. That's not so terrible. Why is it not so terrible? Let's say the same story, you have 10 butcher shops. And a guy, b'mezid, set up one of them not to be kosher. Okay? And I'm a shegitz. No one knew about it. And we all went shopping, no one remembers. You'll also say, called the Purish Meriba Purish. There's nothing to do. We are innocent in the buying. You understand? There was a chevraman there, shegitz. He wanted to do a spitzel. You know what a spitzel means? Yiddish, how you say it? Wanted to do a spitzel, and he set up a shop there, and b'mezid have non-kosher meat. And we all bought there innocently. And then we find out the same question would be. But what he was asking b'mezid is, I take my meat and I mix it in for my own good. Here we are buyers. The same halacha we call the purish meriba purish. There's another famous question which all the Achronim discuss. What does it mean we found out? So there's a very famous Gemara, a very cute Gemara, and I didn't get hold of the Sefer because I found the Shulchan Aruch and the Tshuva speaks about it, but all the Achronim speak about it. Let me tell you a very, very cute Gemara. It's a Gemara in Masechtas Gittin, Daf Samach Daled, I think. A person sends a shliach to Mekadosh Isha. Sends a shliach to be Mekadosh a lady, and the shliach died. Comes back, guy says, I was Makadish a lady, I have no idea. And the Gemara says, we assume shliach oisha shlichusai. That means a shliach did his job. I sent the guy, did his job. There was no text, couldn't send me a picture of the girl. I have no idea. And so the Gemara says, can't get married to anyone. Why? Because we're worried about maybe this is the one Abi Mekadosh is a sister, a mother, maybe it's a daughter. So Tosfos asked a very practical question. Why is he also b'chalul sheshabaylam? Let me check out a lady, who the mother, who the daughter, and who is, if the mother's married. Mother was married, then when I made a shliach and the sister's married, oh, there's no sister, there's no mother, there's no daughter. We can figure this out. So Tosfos learns that this Gemara, the Asa b'chalul sheshabaylam, is a knas. It's not. Why? You go b'sarayv. There's certain people know who the lady is. The lady knows, and the two Eidim know. Right? There are three people who know that she was Niskadish. But I don't know. So B'meila, since I don't know, Tosfos says, that Chazal said, you can't get married is a Chumra B'alma. The Ramban and the Rashba and other Rishonim learn the Maggid Mishnah, they learn it's Me'ikar Hadin. Since three people know, it's called known. So now, we can't say called the Rebbe Purish. I can't give Kaddish. Since three people know about it, I can't be Kaddish any person.
How does the fact that they know prevent you from being able to get married to someone?
Since there's known that there is someone who knows who the Shliach made a Kiddush. Shliach meant, he made a Kiddushin and he said, Reuven ben Yankev who lived in Pico Robertson area. You know, this Reuven ben Yankev, he was a Kaddish lady. So the lady knows and the two Eidim know. I don't know. Since I don't know, so what? So the Ramban held, min adin, it's a taruvis, in noida taruvis, certain people know, and I can't get married.
Just to clarify, the taruvis is that this woman that you're Mekadesh to is mixed up with all these other women.
Her sister and her mother, and yeah, right, is taruvis there, and I came in. So this is, now, the Chavas Das, this is the question, what makes it known? This is a question which all the Achronim ask. What does it mean? You should know, always when there's a shala that happens, always be aware. The Olam, I always tell people, when we learn Halacha, the world was the Chsadna, the Arachadi. You know what that means? The whole world was the world once. The same rishis that was done now was done many years ago, many generations ago. The shala's overcome. This shala came up also once, more than once. So the Charinim clear, what does it mean known? The Chavas Das, which takes a huge place in Yoreh Deah, he held that if one person knows, and is not good enough. He asks a bomba kasha, he asks. Because which the Charinim don't have try to answer. If I happen to know there's a mamzer, I happen to know, unfortunately, a mamzer. As a rabbi, you hear a lot of things. And the child is a mamzer, it's a whole long story. Now, no one should get married. I didn't tell anyone, and no one should get married. That's the Chavas Das question. There's one person who knows this child is a mamzer. The story. So no one should get married.
The mother also knows.
The mother knows. Two people know.
And the man who did it also knows.
Two people know. The child doesn't maybe know, but two people know. The mother and the man. The noyif knows. The child is a mamzer.
And the rabbi.
So the question is, so the Chavas Das says, so if so, it's called the Kvua. How do we get married?
We cannot get married to anyone.
You're not going to marry anyone. There's clearly a mamzer walking around the streets. And we don't know which one it is. So it's called the Kvua. So the Chavas Das held that it has to be many people. That's a shit. That's another question. But he held it can be one person. Now he doesn't bring this. The Shulchan Charav I found, but I didn't have the Sefer because, in the Tshuvas, he brings this machlokes, if you want to look it up in your own time, in the Shalosh Tshuvas of the Rav Sumi Yitches, he brings this, and he says, you have to be machmer, like those Rishonim, like the Ramban, that it's called a Kvua. He talks about a whole different sugya, but he does mention this in middle.
Three people.
He said, well, I'm not 100% sure about the Rav says. He does bring this, and everything. Anyone who knows his words in the Chuvas is like a telegram. So I got a safe who tries to explain this. I didn't have time. But anyways, this is a famous machlokes in the Achronim. So again, how many people? Now, Chavas Das holds many people have to know. Others hold not so many people. Even one person knows. So let's start again. This, according to the Chavas Das that the butcher knew, according to Chavas Das, that's not called enough knowing. Maybe about the other Achronim, maybe it's enough that the butcher knew.
The
But
butcher knew, the detective knew, and his Chaver
no, let's start now. Let's start from the beginning. Let's forget the butcher knew. Let's do the butcher know. So the butcher who knows who did it. So the first thing I thought to myself, why the reason he could be makel, he's a Chal Shabbos. How's it then as a guy? He's again. We always have a Chal and a Chal Shabbos. How's it then as a guy? Now that's a big machlokes, and people told me that he's not a Tanik Shenishba. His father was from in Europe. He went off the derech. The owner.
the ex-owner.
So if he has a din as a goy, then his knowledge doesn't make a big difference now to us. That's him that he knew. But again, according to the Chavas Das, we need a lot of more other people to know. That's what the Chavas Das knows. So Mamela probably, I don't know what Rabbi Belsky built it on. He was involved. How many people he felt already by such and such a time? All the rabbis knew that's called known. So anyone who buys Makan al-Haba, that will be no good. And anyone bought previously, since it's so many people, few people know, he held it's not a problem. This was based his psak.
They put out this psak in that for the next day you combine the
No. I heard. I was at the meeting. No. That day.
Now Sunday night was the letter.
The Sunday morning, they saw the video of the Rabbanim. 1 p.m. Whatever, they saw it. So once they saw it, and they decided that they didn't have to take it off. And so it was, they felt that since so many Borim saw it, that's called Noida Taruvis, anything before that, that was it.
But the video also has a date. Where did you go the date of the video?
Yeah, so one other person knew. The private investigator, I don't want to be on the record, but I spoke to him, and I saw him. I'm not sure he's a Shem Shabbos. He tries to tell me. He's an Israeli, this tough Israeli, you know what I mean? And,
Why was it
but between the conversation, I understood he doesn't keep Shabbos because the way he said a hat, anyways. Well, we had the video. We had the video. And we confronted the guy. And the guy, when he was confronted, when he confronted the guy, he couldn't deny it. You know what I mean? So, when he went over to the guy and showed him the video, yeah, you only did, you're right.
Why was it shot on March 7th and held to March 24th?
The 7th, it was not a good video. That was only when they saw him collect boxes. I saw the whole video. The final one, they knew that he's collecting boxes. They didn't know what it was all about. No, they didn't. They didn't have a video. They caught him. They were convinced that middle of the night he does it. And they had it a whole week, and nothing happens middle of the night.
March 7th is the beginning part of the... What did KTLA have? What did everybody see?
I don't know. I can't remember the dates, but the beginning, I saw the whole thing. Beginning, it took a long time, as you call in America, the smoking gun. Everything before that turned out to be nothing. Finally, they caught him. Amish at the end, the guy, the private investigator figured, they told him there's something. He said there's nothing there. All night. I am all night there. So finally, they followed him from the second he wakes up, till then they chapped what he did. They chapped that he went and he followed them, pick up the box. It's 5 in the morning, and he comes back. His brother.
What date was that?
That was Mamish Friday or Thursday.
Here's what date it is.
Yeah, okay.
Day when it was
Anyways,
found out it was 3 o'clock.
I want to say that chalik I leave over to Rabbi Belsky. He was told exactly. He made the decision how many people to know. I'm just explaining the halacha. There's explaining the noida. The sequence, I don't know the exact.
Even if it was 6 months before, when it was found out, if it was 3 o'clock, and that's when most of the
Peter
rabbis
knew, that's
then what you
noida.
have to
That's
say.
a
It's
right.
also-
Right.
So his point doesn't matter.
Right. He's worried that maybe. So now, this is one way, one psak. So I called up Rabbi Belsky and I asked him, I asked him this question. The only thing that they see that he took clearly was Hebrew national meat. I mean, that he went to his brother-in-law And the private investigator is a chevra man. I don't want to go into details, the cute story, but how he gambled himself into the place, and he took a video of the whole place, and when you see the video, all he has is Hebrew National. That's where he took it from. It's the meat, and it's not called Hebrew National. It's illegally. They have another name. They had a big fight. It's Heartland, yeah, something like Heartland now. So now, what happened? Well, I asked them, what is this? Well, let me ask them, what is this? Vadai treif. Well, how do you look at it? So the worst, he said, he himself was very honest. He says the shachtim do good shidre. They don't make a bedikas pnim. You know what bedikas pnim? They don't check the lungs because they want to make a lot kosher. Okay, so it comes out the worst. I don't want to go into the lumdis. This itself is a whole rivash and a whole. It'll take me another 20 minutes. So the worst that it's a suffix. So let me tell you, there are many rishonim that hold. What happens? You have 10. Let's start from scratch. 10 butcher shops, 9 selling kosher, 1 is selling a suffix treif, not valid treif. 1 is selling Hebrew National. They hold this doesn't make it a kvua. The Rashba, they bring the Rishonim, they hold that kvua means established valid treif. But if it's a suffix treif, you don't even say that it has a din kvua. You know what kvua means? Established. So there is no kvua. So there's nothing, even though they knew about it. See, when they know about it, it becomes a kvua. Even everyone would have known about it. Let's say many people would have known it. Your question is challenging. According to maybe the Achronim argue on this Chavas Das. It seems like the Rav also says it's a suffix. So let's say, but if
After 3 o'clock, it should be okay.
it should be after 3 o'clock because it's not Vadai Treif. Not after 3 o'clock, you're not going to go buy. But but anyone who bought, right, not knowing, the one who bought not knowing is called the prohibited.
Who
You understand?
To buy from after 3 o'clock? What's the bottom line? Just from Doheny or what's the?
Just from the Hini. Just from the Hini.
But I know people don't buy from. I mean, except for restaurants. I mean, individuals.
They all bought before 3 o'clock. Anyone who bought from him before 3 o'clock is good. So you understand what I just said? Did I explain myself? So if it's a suffix treif, so even if many people knew about it, so the whole question that so many people knew about it falls away because the bottom line is that you don't say kvua, so we say anyone who bought innocently is called the porish, meriba porish.
Can I ask a question? Everything that we're learning until now is that they found a cow with a hole in the crane or they found a treif. Here the reyes is not in the meat. Here we found the reyes in the owner. And therefore, no. Who says, to say that it was only 7%, I have a doubt. Why doesn't that put it that maybe it was over 50% rate?
That they checked out. No. That's another question. That they were able to check out. How they check out? No. They very simple. Today it's very simple. They know how much agri sent them. And they know how much each butcher shop. And they called and they compared the notes. 95, there's only 5% discrepancy. They did it, they worked 2 hours on that. And on this Nakuda, yeah, but they're 3 months. They went 3 months, and it was only a 5% to 7%. And he says, Rabbi Belsky told me himself, I wanted to hear from himself. I didn't trust it. I've learned already, don't trust what people say. Call the source up. He says, the maximum, if it's a miscalculation, and he's a Meshunadig Ili. I want to tell you what type of an Ili is. You know, Alan Friedman, who lives in tells me that one time he drove him from Baltimore to New York. And it was from a simcha, and he dozed off, and he wakes up, and he looks at his clock. He says, you were speeding 85 miles an hour. Because from Baltimore, there's so many hours, we were traveling so many minutes, so the only way you could have gotten so quickly here is, that's about the type of Ili he is. You know what I mean? Like, in a second, he just told you sped exactly 85 miles. He's a Meshunadig Ili. I know him. So I called him up, and he said, the maximum, if you want to be already maximize, it's maybe 10%.
If I bought my meat here at 4 o'clock, let's say.
Yeah, according to what I'm saying now,
At 9 o'clock or whatever.
yeah, what I just said now, according to my heter, then even if you bought it after 3 o'clock would be good.
Right.
As long as you bought it innocently.
Right.
That's
Right.
So then there's another heter, which is, and the Chabad brings down a whole other heter why it's okay. There's a heter is because there's a famous svek in the Rishonim. It's called Sufik Echad Begufoi, the Sufik Echad Betaruvis. That if anyone who learned Masechtas Be'et, there's a Machlokes Rabbein Tam and the Ri, which means the Gemara talks about I have an egg, which is a Sufik Treif. How could an egg be Sufik Treif? One of the chickens was Treif, and we don't know which one. It laid an egg, and I don't know this egg. So it's a Sufik Treif. This egg got mixed into many other eggs. So it's Sufik Echad Begufoi, Sufik Echad Betaruvis. You understand? The Sufik, the egg is kosher, and then this egg itself got mixed up with the other eggs is Taruvis. So Machlokes if it's called a Svek Sveika or not. The Rabbi Tam held it. It's called a Svek Sveika. And the Ri argued, he said it's not called a Svek Sveika. Why is it not called a Svek Sveika? Why did the Ri hold on? So the Chayim want to say like this: when I have this egg, it's a Sufik Treifer, I have to paskin on this Sufik Treifer, you're not allowed to eat. So there's a psak that it's treif. So now it got mixed in, and now it's like a vada got mixed in. Says the Masas Ben Yoma. The Masas Ben Yoma was a very early Achim, the Shach quotes. What happens then if we found out both sveikas at the same time? We found the Sufik Echa Begufay, the Sufik Echa Beteruba is the same time. Mush over here. Every meat over here is the meat that it was sold from, whatever it's called there, on the Hebrew National, is a Sufik Treif. Now he said it's on a Sufik Treif. So every meat that I got from there, I picked up from there, is a Svek Sveika. Because we found, so once we found, the two Sveikas came together, so it's called a Svek Sveika. So you have another heter of the Svek Sveika. Then Machayla told me,
It came together, they went back to the Noida.
yeah, but Noida. But once it's Noida, yeah. So you have another big heter.
So the Svek Sveika would be a heter.
Right.
Yeah, not
Right.
the kosher kale, or even to eat it.
Not even to eat it, you could eat. Now the third heter is what Machayla told me.
It's the Hebrew national meat because of that video, but if he admits that he did things before that were, they could.
He didn't meet. His word has really no word. But we caught him bringing from Hebrew National. And his rational.
You can assume that if he would do Hebrew national, he would also do.
In Halacha, it doesn't work that way. Feelings work that way, not Halacha. Like I said at the beginning, you get a sheikhet, he doesn't know the Halacha. My feelings is, this guy didn't know Hilchas Shchita a long time ago. But the Halacha says, it don't work that way.
The brother-in-law only had the whole store.
The guy videoed the whole,
and
yeah.
it's Hebrew National.
Yes.
Why is there a box on the cover of the Jewish Journal that says Chapata, or however you pronounce it, which is a lamb and veal place in Chicago? It's a Chapata
I have no
X-ray.
idea. I have no idea.
On the cover of the magazine.
That doesn't mean
What the box
anything.
is.
That means nothing. I'm just telling you what I would see what they quote. I saw the video.
The video, how do you know what's inside?
It's sealed boxes. No.
And it says,
The Hebrew National was sealed boxes. And he bought it out of that. You can see all he has in that place is sealed Hebrew National boxes. And I'm just saying, but I saw the video. Now, the other question, there's another thing, which is also another chap of a kula. There's a very interesting Gemara, Rabbi say. The Gemara in Masechtas Psochim has a case like this. The Gemara says, and Dav Zayin and Medalef, the Gemara has, a guy had a safe, and he kept money there. He kept chul money there, and he kept Maaseh Sheni money there. Maaseh Sheni, you have to take the money, bring it to the Shlaim and buy things. You're not allowed to spend it. So he kept 1 week this money, 1 week this money, and at the end he has money, he has no idea which money it was. Doesn't remember the last money. He used to take out chul money, to put Maaseh Sheni money, he doesn't remember. I had once a kosher yid who runs an organization. Mamish this question. He had in his safe, he has money put away for aniyim, that people give him to give out for aniyim. He had yeshiva money. He doesn't remember what envelope this is. Is the yeshiva's money, or this is a big difference? You're not allowed to mix them. This people gave him money. I want you to give for aniyim. So what does the Gemara say over there? You know what the Gemara says? Very interesting. The Gemara says, we have no idea what the last one was. We go what the majority of the money was there. If the majority of the money over there was chul money, you can assume this is chul. Even though we don't know which one was the last. The majority was Maaseh Sheni, it's Maaseh Sheni. Here, we don't know what he did. because everyone who bought before a long time, we have no idea, because it's also seems like he didn't do it every day. He did it twice a week. He only did it when the truck came. So the truck didn't come all the time. It's clear from when it came out that the trick what he did was when the truck came, he counted and he quickly smuggled it in, because when the truck didn't come, this whole thing he couldn't do. For some reason, I don't know how they figured this out. But whatever it is, it turns out to be, we don't know what he did, and we don't. Let's say it's not true whether RCC figured it out. It's not that way. It's a whole different story. Then we have a right to assume, since we know for sure the majority is kosher, we have a right to say anyone had meat from there is kosher.
Not by kavua. That's the whole problem.
No. There's also kavua. Money's a kavua too.
But there's no issue there.
No.
My sister is kosher, and that's kosher. That's a different story.
No. But still, you're not allowed to spend the money. No, how could you use the Ma'aser Sheni money for chol? You're over alav. You're over issa deraisa. Yeah, money. Yeah, I had money, which I knew was Ma'aser Sheni. I forgot.
So you're making the whole thing of kavua.
No. If I know clearly what everything is, you're right. Let's say a guy bought, not now, a guy called me up, one of the people called me up, that she bought 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago ready meat for Yontif. She was pregnant and we don't know that week how things were. It's, maybe that week he didn't bring in, because they have rayas that he couldn't do it every day. I don't know how they had raya. So if we don't know exactly when you bought, was it the same, did he that week also? Let's say we do go backwards. Let's say l'chumra. So again, we have no idea what happened there. Did he have a kavua? Did he bring in, not bring in? Then we have a right to say we go to Saroiv. You're right. If we know for sure there's a kavua.
Rabbi, how can I froze the food and still have it till today?
You could eat. That's what we're saying. You could eat it. Yes.
They bought it before 3 p.m.
If it
Yes.
tastes very good, you'll know what you're eating.
Rabbi, just to clarify, in the pictures that they have in the Jewish Journal, one of the boxes is Vadai Trey. It's not.
Yeah, but the Jewish Journal was not there when he was caught.
This is the actual picture of them taking the box.
Taken from the video.
That's the problem.
Looking at it.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw the video, the boxes that he had, but yeah, I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. I don't know. The box that he had, I want to tell you better, the boxes that he had in the video, the original video, was agri boxes.
Not all of them. Not here. Not all of them. There's one box. One in the middle. It's from Chicago, Illinois. Sells only veal and lamb that's trade. Lamb and veal body
This
trade.
box
No
is
cottage.
trafe meat. And that's a trafe company. And it's with the agri boxes.
So that's however you pronounce it.
People can't prepare them.
He also said he was counterfeiting the,
But they checked, they found a lot of things by him. This private investigator was a chevra man, I'm telling you, whoa. He did,
counterfeited certificate.
yes, he counterfeited, but I don't want to go into this. I only came to explain the halacha. That's politics. He did counterfeit, and they did check it out, and he didn't use it yet, because he did a very poor counterfeit job. Even the one who was out to get him, RCC showed it to us, the one who was fuming against them, showed us that he counterfeited, and the counterfeit piece that he has, is not the same. It's a mismatch, and they check all the meat, and it doesn't have the counterfeit. He had in his premises. He caught him in his premises with
Which premises? The brother-in-law?
and the brother on the cedar. So, anyways, I don't want to go into those details. I'm just explaining Maisa what the heter was built on. Because the heter was built on, even if it's been my heter that it was treif, you're saying it doesn't work. Let's say
But it works for the machaber.
Chatz mechaber, right? I'm saying, let's say if it's treif, the mechaber's case still works. If it's only a suffix, then that's what I added.
Are you allowed to be machmir or not?
You're allowed. The reason you're allowed to be machmer, let me tell you why. No. He wants to know, are you allowed to be machmer? The reason you're allowed to be machmer, because in almost every scenario that I said, the amachmirim. Marshal, the fact that you say, call the Purish Meribish Purish, after the time, there's who argue on this. The Shach passing that way, but the Achronim argue on this. Even Sufik Echa Beguf for Sufik Echa Beteruvis, there's also a machlekes. And even on the Masters Biyom, there's also a machlekes. You know, there are many shittas. So if a guy wants to be machmer, yes.
Machmir to what? How far does the machmir go? Do we have to kosher our kelim?
No, kasher kelim you don't have to. Why not? Why don't you have to? Because the Rabbi said kasher in kelim is only a drabanan. Let me. I'm debating. I should explain this or not. But you are here to hear Torah, so let me explain to you. You know, there's a din like this. The Gemara says, we spoke about it over here, learning at night over here. The Gemara says, you're allowed to buy oil from a goy. You know, originally, the acid, yain esach, bishalakim, cholavakim, shemanakim. Then the best in the shahid and the seer, they were matter oil. What did they say? They said, you're allowed to buy oil from a goy. Why? First of all, there's no bishalakim, it's nechel chai. The goy made it in his, what's his name? The goy made it in his kelim. Stam kelim from a goy is any ben yoimai. We're talking about not a company. My shiksa neighbor sells me oil. She made the oil in her tray from the keli, which she cooks chazer. Chazer. Now I'm not talking about, Hebrew national meat. The shiksa next door. Chazer. So I'm allowed to buy her oil, because even if she cooked it in a keli, stam kelim any ben yoimai. So that means that a keli that's anybody knows stam of gam, I'm allowed to buy like a tchila. There's no iser. Chazal demanded from you, if you something got traded in your house, you have to kasher gzeir keli any ben yoimai to ben yoimai. But it's not a cheftze de surah. You know what a cheftze is? Not. Yeah, and the Gemara says, the Shalma says that Rav want to be machmer. I don't want to eat from a keli, from a goy, anybody yoimai. You told me you're zukim mamre, and I'm going to put you into chayrim.
One second. Here I'm buying the oil from my neighbor. Here in one person's house, their kelim became treif, if it became treif.
Yeah, but it's a suffix treif. Huh? Now, suffix about kasher and kelim, you could always be soymich, because it's not the.
He's asking if a person wants to be machmer, the kasher the kelim.
You want to be machmer, super machmer, you could.
You could be machmer to your own, it's different.
You want to be machmer.
Because here it's different.
That's a different, but you buy Chazal said Rabbi from a goy. Here, I'm the word. Maybe you get treif. My part get treif. I don't want to be samich on all these coolers.
So why do we have to kosher?
Because koshering is only a drabanan, and you rather could be samich on all these three coolers that I explained. There's three Rishonim, there's three Malchem. Could surely be samich. You don't have to kosher the cake.
Can the RCC still be considered a proper hashgacha?
See, that's a good question. I want to tell you, every organization could make a mistake. We confronted them.
But it happened before, right?
They claim, I asked them this question. I asked them that 25 years ago they caught him. I even asked, I don't trust people tell me. I got in touch with the guy who caught him. Rabbi Grumman with Mal Teiderbaum. You know Mal? So I got in touch with Mal Teiderbaum. Mal Teiderbaum was the one who climbed into the freezer. And I asked him, what did he, so they told me, so I asked them, they claimed that when they took it over, they took it over many years later. They had no idea. And the truth to be said, Rabbi Teichman, which is the Kehillah, never allowed his meat for this reason. That's a fact. I know 4 years ago they made such a tumult, and it's politics, he doesn't let them in. He told me many years ago, I don't let his meat in because he's not a from guy. It's a period. I don't, that's it. They didn't want us to let his meat in. But the RCC claimed that they had a very good system, and the truth is they had a very good system. But listen, in Europe, in Antwerp, a few months ago, they stole $50 million of diamonds. Right. Now, you think that the diamond business closed down in Antwerp? There was a hole in the system. Business didn't matter. I mean, it was taka, a negligence, a hole in the system, but they didn't get up. And now they were caught such red-handed, they are going to go out of their way. I mean, in 9/11, I went to Oman. So my family was, it was, Tuesday was 9/11, and I flew, that Friday flew to Oman, Thursday I flew to I told my wife, it's the safest time to travel. Now is the safest time to travel. Everyone is super alert, and look, people, they made a mistake, they apologized, and I imagine they'll fix it. That's, we're humans. The mistakes are made. That's any other question? Not the politics of it, just the halacha question.
So one more mistake.
So,
So one more mistake, and then the RCC has a chazaka not being reliable, right? Is there a chazaka tied up in that?
Nochem is your name. If 3 times your wife made a mistake in the kitchen, you're going to fire her? I'm sure in your married life, there's going to be more than 3 mistakes in the kitchen.
But Rob, you're trusting the people at the RCC for information that would happen.
No.
But
No. Rabbi Belsky is a very, he sent his son-in-law, Shlomi Derechnitz, and he's quite good in business. And he did not trust the RCC. He wanted his son-in-law to see the books and compare, and that's what he told me. So he didn't give it his psak till they worked a few hours to make sure there was right, because he didn't want to trust anyone. He wanted to make sure an outsider to look at this, make sure it's right. And it's very easy. I spoke to an accountant, and he told me it's very easy. Who does the counting of these books? It's very not difficult to, because certain things has to be, sent for this, because he has to keep cheshbon. So he has a bill, he sent because, and so there's very...
Everything is on the books.
No, even not on the books, but he has, people owe him money, so he has to have it written down. Yeah, but so that he was able to figure how much came in, and they went to the stores, how much did he sell you, went to the caterers.
Whatever the case is, it seems like there's definitely, if you want to be machmer, there's...
If you want to be machmer, share chumris noinilali. That's always a clown. He wants to know to kasha the kalim now. That's his question.
Whatever it may be.
Share...
Use RCC.
No.
I'm saying shara chumres nanilali. A person, but you're asking halacha. See, I want to explain to you something very, very important. One of the, I'll tell you a chassidish word. It's let me tell you a good chassidish word to explain this. If I may say a chassidish word. The Shiurim, last week's parsha, says a very profound word. It says that that Nuda Vavi brought a zura. A very interesting expression. Fire they brought in, they were not told. That's the it's because I didn't tell you. You did something, it's like someone saying you did right, but I didn't tell you to do it. It's not they just but it's just what's the Eloi Tzivo. It says a moide die gesagt so the nur we or Hasidische Yidden, Mesiris Nefesh, and they did this with the gewaldige Mesiris Nefesh. Really, he does something Mesiris Nefesh, really he should die. But what keeps him? The tzivu of Hashem keeps him, he shouldn't become totally engulfed. The tzivu that Hashem gives a tzimtzum on a person, shouldn't be totally lost. It says, this was Asheloi tzivu lehem, so the Mesiris Nefesh, that they did the mitzvah with such Mesiris Nefesh, Eizora ate them up. And Halacha, often I watch people, they get hurt, and the feelings take over. I don't blame you. My feelings also took over. I was very hurt too, as much as all of you. But when you learn the Shulchan Aruch, and I started my shul with this Machaba Hilchas Shchita. It says a shoichet doesn't know Hilchas Shchita today. Are you kidding me that he didn't know yesterday? He did know yesterday. He doesn't know today. And the Rabbi says you don't have to kasher the kelim. This is what the Halacha says. The Halacha says chazaka. The Halacha says the feelings will tell you I would take the shoichet and break every bone of his body. You know what I mean? Chutzpah, Yishachsi doesn't know. The Halacha says today he lost the chazaka. Before that, you can't get your emotions carried away. Yes.
20 years ago or so, Moshe Tenber from YU, doctor, biologist, said impossible, all the shechting going on in America, impossible so much as well. It's impossible, notwithstanding medicine or science, there can't be what they produce every day and they claim it's God, it can't be. Any comments? Do you remember the statement?
I say every day, Baruch Halakeni Shivdelun Menach Shedem. I don't have to do them, Shana.
We're not eating glot. They're calling non-glot, and we're paying the price for glot. And we,
I have no idea. I'm not in the business. I can answer. Yes. That's the question. No, that is the question. The $20 million question. That is. So he probably, Rabbi Belsky, felt that you need to have, if the Rabbanim knew already, that's called Noida. If the Minyan Yidin and the Rabbanim knew, I don't know.
Rabbi, if you knew for a fact that some of the meat was not Suffolk trade, but Vadai trade, would it make a difference in the stock at all?
No, I mean, the bottom line is you still sell. Yes. But then it's a machoikis. Then Daniel, then I could hear why a person would be very machmer. Because there is much more place to be chomer. Okay.
my